Hey, everybody. Marcus C. Williams here. Happy Memorial Day. Today, we've got some great weather here in Rochester, and it's quite a beautiful day, as you would say. Um, Now, I don't know if a lot of you guys out there know what the difference is in holidays because we've got Memorial Day, Veterans Day, Labor Day, and everybody kind of rolls them together. You know, today, this morning, I was awakened by these stolen cars zooming up and down the street, screeching all up and down West Main Street. And it's amazing because nothing is being done about this crime and nobody really seems to care. Now, you say, Marcus, what's this got to do with Memorial Day? I'll explain to you what the crazy crime has to do with Memorial Day. The state of our nation is in a real serious position, especially if you live in the city of Rochester like I do, or the state of New York. So, Memorial Day is a day in which we honor our fallen veterans, those who sacrificed all so that we may continue forward, and those that have sacrificed for our Constitution to uphold our Constitution and our nation and our values. So, that's what today is about, versus Veterans Day, in which we celebrate those who are still alive who serve, and versus Labor Day, which is a holiday for unions, and that's a whole separate conversation. But with the crime and everything that's going on in our country, do you think that this is what our soldiers died for? Complete lawlessness in our nation? Do you think our soldiers died so that our politicians in Washington or in Albany can just do whatever they want and run over the American people as if they don't care and the American people aren't important? No. Those who sacrifice everything so that we can have our country still, to stand up for the rights, liberties, and freedoms laid out in our Constitution and our founding documents, would be horrified at what's going on right now. We've got senators that are supposedly supposed to be Republican or whatever that means, right? Because you got Lindsey Graham and you got Mitch McConnell, trash garbage people who just want to fund foreign wars and do everything that they can to enrich themselves and put more money in their pockets. And then you have the Democrats, on the other hand, who give no fucks about the American population or American citizens, and they care more about illegal aliens and enriching themselves and creating a whole slave culture than they do about actual American citizens. It's as if those who have died and those who have given everything for us that we are to celebrate on this day died for naught. Because the question is they died for what? They died for this? This is a horrible situation that we're in right now, and not enough Americans are standing up and willing to do anything about it. They're not willing to take a stand. They're not willing to speak up, and they'd much rather be silent. This is a serious problem. The crime that we have, especially in Rochester and New York State, is largely caused by the raise the age laws and bill reform. This can be amended by our state senators and our state assembly people. But in a high crime city like Rochester, it's hard for me to even get anybody to engage with our elected officials. You know, that's what they're supposed to do. But they refuse to. They prefer to cry and whine on the internet. Oh, crime is bad. Oh, everything is bad. But they do nothing. When we celebrate on this day, those who gave everything and did all that they could to give the last measure to defend our country and protect us. You know, it's very concerning for me, and I'm extremely fed up isn't an adequate word, right? Upset is not adequate. Frustrated is not adequate. None of these words match the actual feelings or emotions that I have. Like, I'm fit to be tired, right? I guess that's the best way to explain it. Fit to be tired. Those servicemen who gave their lives were to see our country today. You think they'd be pleased? All of those who died in World War One, you think they'd be pleased? Those who died in the Revolutionary War, you think that they'd be pleased? They'd be okay? That we're more concerned about talking about microaggressions and if you hurt somebody's feelings, that's violence and hate. This is where we are. We are fucking weak, bro. Like, we used to be a country that was known for strength and being strong and stuff like that. And we've gotten so weak over the years, it's ridiculous. And nobody will speak on the weakness that has become and befallen America, because we have to respect people's opinions and their feelings and their emotions and stuff like that. And it's absolutely ridiculous and abhorrent. Okay? Nobody cares if you feel some type of way. Nobody cares if, oh my God, it was a microaggression. Lock them up, put them in jail. You sound like a fool. You sound like a totalitarian authoritarian that is a treasonous actor that doesn't give a hell about our Constitution or our way of life in America, and that you should not be here or you should be excommunicated from life. I mean, let's be honest. So many people are focused on so many other things instead of actually improving the quality of life in our country for our citizens, but because they'll rather divide everybody on everything. We've got the central bank digital currency coming up, which they're pushing through the FedNow app, where the government can control all of your transactions, prevent you from using your money, prevent you from spending a certain amount of money if they decide, however much that might be. Maybe they don't want you to spend more than $10 a day. You can't spend more than $10 a day. Like, people really need to wake up to the big concerns. They're sending hundreds of billions of dollars to foreign countries to fund foreign wars where we're not gaining any territorial annexations for America to incorporate them into our union. Why are we doing that? We don't have any business in any country, in any foreign whatsoever, unless we're actually going to get territory for the United States of America. No, it's not okay. But we've got senators and the people in the House of Representatives that continue to push to fund foreign wars. Like, oh, well, we're fighting for freedom and democracy. We don't have freedom and democracy in our country. First of all, we're not a democracy. We're a republic that's fastly moving to democracy, because democracy is mob rule. And that's about what we got right now. Those who scream the loudest get everything. And those who scream the loudest right now only care about chopping off your children's genitals and genital mutilation, and how that they can restrict you from using your funds that are your own, and letting all the criminals run loose and run amok. And this is what they care about. This is what the people that scream the loudest care about. They want to tax the rich, because if they tax the rich, even if they put 100% tax on the rich, it wouldn't be enough to even put a dent in our deficit that we have as far as either the state goes, because the state's down 49% in tax revenue year over year, which is a whole other separate conversation, or as far as the United States goes, which we're on a fast pace to be freaking completely devalued as far as currency goes and have no monetary value whatsoever. And all of this is coming together all at one time because people are so distracted. They've divided us by race, religion, and everything. And let's talk about religion for a second. Do you think these people that died for our country would be okay with the attack on Christianity, the way that that's going? And people don't want to talk about that, but they'll talk about Asian hate, or they'll talk about Black Lives Matter, or they'll talk about anti-Semitism, but nobody will talk about the anti-Christian hate that continues to permeate our country and the rest of the world. Nobody. Christians are third-class citizens. We don't even make it be second class. That's how bad it is. Absolutely ridiculous. What's going on is not okay. The people that gave their lives for our nation would be rolling, and probably are rolling in their graves, so to speak, over the state of our country right now. With everything that is put on the news and is pushed by our politicians, largely being to divide us. And when I say pushed by our politicians, it's not all of them, right? Like, it's a small faction of the Republican leadership that do it, but it's all of the damn Democrats. It's every single one of them. All of the Democrats that are in power do it. They divide us by race, color, creed, sex, gender, everything. It doesn't matter. They don't care. They'll do whatever they can to divide us, to stay in power, to say that they've got the solution to all that ails us, when they're the ones who created all the problems to begin with. And they continue to create problems and permanent distrust. And now they've got all this misinformation media and stuff like that. You can't say this or you can't say that or you can't hurt somebody's feelings or they'll put you in jail or that's hate speech or whatever. And it sounds like I'm rambling and I'm talking about stuff that's nothing. These are real serious issues that are right now happening and nobody's talking about them. And everybody's just going around with their lives. La di da, let me go smoke some dope. La di da, let me go get my check. La di da, let me go to work like everything's normal. La di da, everything's fine. Nothing is fine. Nothing is okay. We are on the precipice of losing everything in our nation right now. Everything that the people that sacrificed and fought hard for throughout the history of our nation have died for. We're on the precipice of losing everything to a bunch of malicious elites that want nothing more than to stay in power, and they'll do everything to crush any form of dissent by pushing their policies through the government. And people refuse to stand up to the government, and they're absolutely terrified. And as people refuse to stand up to the government, the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, the CIA, which isn't even supposed to be active in the United States, but that's a whole separate conversation. The what do you call it? The information systems people, I forget what's DIA, and all of these other people. Okay, all of them are doing everything that they can to start to put the kibosh on anybody that is willing to speak up. And if we don't speak up now, there won't be a time later to speak up. I don't know what I could say or what I could do to rally more people, to encourage more people to stand up and speak up, because it's really getting late, guys. Like, we're almost at the end. And when it's here, everybody's gonna be like, oh well, somebody should do something. You should have done something. You should have done something. You should have stood up. You should have said something. You should have been more vocal. You should have engaged with your elected officials. You could have done something, but you didn't. You sat on your ass and thought everything was going to be fine and the grass was going to be green and everything was going to be about normal, but it's not normal. They're normalizing pedophilia like that's okay. So this is another thing. You think the veterans that died so that they can normalize pedophilia? Is that what we're doing right now? I mean, let's really be honest. And I hate to bring it back to like the Lord and Jesus and stuff like that. But these people need the Lord and need Jesus largely because they have no moral compass. They don't know. They don't have any type of structure, right? The only structure that they have is do whatever you want because that's what Satan teaches you. Do what you want because it feels good, blah, blah, blah. It's a very serious problem that we have right now in our country. And I know people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear you talk about religion or whatever the case is, man. In God we trust, right? One nation under God, right? That's what our veterans died for. That's what those who we memorialize today died for. That's what they believed in. But you guys suck, like largely. Like I don't know where the fight in our country has gone. Like everybody has lost their balls. Like has everybody been castrated? Like I know that they're trying to push castration and genital mutilation and hysterectomies on people and stuff. But I mean, like, let's be honest. Like, has everybody lost their will? Is this what's going on right now? I don't know. I'm gonna do what I can to attempt to continue to encourage people to be active and stand up. But it's really frustrating and honestly kind of demoralizing because not enough people are willing to stand up. Like, I don't know what to do to encourage more people to stand up or to get more people to stand up. It's like all of the evidence shows you that horrible, horrible stuff is going down and you refuse to do anything or take any level of action because you're scared of how you'll look or how somebody might think of you or what your job is going to say or whatever. Later, soon you won't have no job because the machines are taking all the jobs. Like, y'all stupid. Like, in the next, what to say, the CBO, the Central Budget Office in the federal government, they say by 2030, 60% of the jobs will be taken by machines. And that's across the board. That's not in any particular field. That's in all fields. All of them. All of them. 60% of the people in the country that have jobs don't have jobs. Which is, you want to know something more crazy? We're going to have an increase in retirees by 25% in the next 5 years. So that's a whole separate terrible, horrible thing we have because now remember that's going to go into tax revenue and stuff like that. And we're not having enough kids because they're telling you to kill all your babies. So we're not having enough kids, so we won't have enough tax revenue. So our governor in New York State, High Priestess Kathy Hochul, she's all like, well, let the illegal aliens come in and let them work and let them work and let them do stuff. We've got 5,000 service jobs that need people. I used to do cooking and stuff like that. They can do it. You want to create a permanent subclass of those who are subservient to you, as in a slave class, so that you can remain dominant and push out all of those who would possibly oppose you, who have any actual American values and wherewithal. That's all that that's about. And it's not about anything else because, again, 60% of all current jobs and positions will be gone in the next, what, 5, 6 years? And that's a modest estimate if you ask me. I think that number is too low. I think it'll be much more. So where will these people work? And then you have it where they're competing with normal Americans because remember, they don't speak the language. Most of them have no type of education. So they can only take basic entry level type of jobs or labor positions. So unfortunately, let's be realistic about our country, more so about New York State. Most of the people don't have high levels of skill. Most of them might have a high school graduation and stuff like that. So all they can do is really entry level work and entry level jobs. That's why they're out there demanding that they pay $17 an hour to work at Starbucks to make a cup of coffee. It's ridiculous. And you want to bring in these illegal aliens so that they can do work? What work? What work? McDonald's are automating all of their jobs. What work? Wendy's, Arby's. I don't even know how Arby's stays open, but that's a whole other conversation. All of these companies are making it so that they're full of automation. Walmart says that by 2026, 65% of their stores will be fully automated. 65% of all Walmart stores. Y'all know how many jobs that is? So where are these people going to be working? Like, why are we not having this conversation? Like, these are really serious things that are happening, and nobody wants to talk about it. It's frustrating. It's really frustrating and extremely concerning. Fact of the matter is soon there won't be any jobs at all, and we have to look at it for what it is. Let's say Governor Kathy says we got 5,000 of these jobs, we got 5,000 of those jobs. We got about 310 million people in the country. We got about, I don't know what the most latest estimate is of how many we have in New York. I think it's 1,300 or something like that. I could be wrong. It could be more. But it's at least, 13 million or more. It's at least 13 million, but I don't at this point. And with so many people moving out, I don't even know how you could even count. But that's neither here nor there. The point of the matter is even if it was only 13 million, which I think it's more people that we actually have in New York State, and you just take 1% of that, right? You're talking about tens of thousands of people that are not working right now, that are American citizens that can work, that won't be able to work because you want to bring these illegal aliens for a couple thousands of jobs. You're a fool. We got more people that are unemployed right now. What about all the people that are graduating from high school this year? It's May right now, right? Graduation for most high schools is next month in New York State. Where will they work? What are you really setting us up for? You're setting us up for a fall. Is this what our people died for? For the destruction of our nation? I'd say no. And it's really disappointing. And I'm fed up. I'm fed up not so much with those who are in power and the elites, but more so with everyday Americans that refuse to stand up and refuse to take action. For whatever reason it is. All of the reasons are bullshit. None of the reasons are good enough. Okay? Because we're losing everything. And everything is going to be lost if more people don't stand up. You know? And so, I mean, I'm going to encourage you to stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Now is the time to take action. Because if we don't, there won't be anybody to take action in the future. There will be no way to take action, and there won't be any jobs. And if you think that the government's going to come out the sky and save you with a couple of bucks in a check, it's never going to happen. Because no matter how much they give you in a check, it'll never be enough. Social Security is on the way to collapse in the next 5 years. So, like, that's a fact. That comes from the Central Budget Office. Okay, so that's a very serious thing. So you got to understand that that's about to happen. So that's going to increase poverty in the elderly drastically. Now in the state level, they're pushing medically assisted induced suicide, death or medically assisted death or whatever you want to call it. But they're pushing that, and they're going to use that to try to convince those in poverty and the elderly to kill themselves, and it's a problem, and that shouldn't be the way that it is. But that's the way that we're going now. They also have what do you call it? It's called human composting, where they'll turn you into compost, which is a whole nother very serious conversation that I'm not even going to jump into today. But we've got some very serious stuff going on, and they're priming to erase the majority of us and to subjugate everybody else in a way that people won't even understand what it looks like. Like, if you think that you know what poverty looks like now, if you think that you've seen stuff look bad, you haven't seen anything yet. And it's coming. And I'm not being a Debbie Downer, I'm being a realist. Like, in the best case scenario, it's coming. In the worst case scenario, it's going to be 100 times worse than I think that it's going to be. And I already think it's going to be hella bad. Like, you think that the favelas in Brazil are bad? You think that you think that the Ricky Ticky Tin Shacks are bad? Like, it's going to be real bad in America, because it's going to end up being where it's those who have everything, those who have absolutely nothing. There will not be an in between. And this is what we're fastly coming up on. People need to start to stand up and push back against all of this craziness and these policies. And I don't understand why more people don't. But with that, I'm going to let you guys go, and I hope you have a happy Memorial Day. Celebrate our veterans who have passed to stand up for our country, our Constitution, and our rights, and maybe take a page out of their book and stand your ass up too and grow a pair of balls. You know, clean the sand out your vagina, whatever you got to do. Get the fuck up, you know? So with that, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Take action. You guys be blessed, be well. I'll catch you later. Go eat some barbecue.